Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming to the open forum. My name is Michael Kuchar. I am part of the Strategic Educational Advantage consulting firm. With me is my partner, Dr. Frank Oriema. What we are doing is we're assisting the Wall Township Board of Education with their search for the next superintendent of schools. And to the credit of the Wall Township Board of Education, they're looking for us to help advise, counsel, and guide the process. And during our interview, we pride ourselves on developing a profile of the candidate for the next superintendent of schools. And what we do is we use that profile to help us recruit, to help us interview, and to help us guide the process along. Frank, why don't you speak about that?
Yeah, and with regard to the process, key in the process is the point that Mike just made. And I really don't know whether I would use this or not, so I'll just try the best I can to get to everyone in a clear manner. The whole issue centers around creating this profile. The profile is what we will use as we screen candidates. And we suspect that we'll get a good number of candidates for this position, and we will use that profile in the screening process. The Board of Education will also adopt that as part of their tool when they interview the candidates. So tonight what we're going to be doing is, this is kind of the culmination. We understand there may be one session after this one, but this is the culmination of work we started today about 1 o'clock. Mike started out speaking with high school kids. He got the best part of the job today, because when you work with the kids, it's just an absolute joy. They're honest, they're sincere, they see things that sometimes as adults we miss, in all honesty, right?
And in their innocence, they want to have the custodian at the high school be the next superintendent, just so you know they're very honest.
But we met with employee groups throughout the course of the day, just finished up a couple of minutes ago with a group of administrators. And tonight what we want to hear from is the entire public, all right? We're asking everyone, whether you're a member of the Board of Education, who we have either interviewed already or will soon be interviewing, right down to the kids, we're asking 3 basic questions. And those questions are, what are the strengths of the district? What are the areas in need of improvement? And what are the characteristics you would like to see in the new superintendent? And that's what we're going to try to center upon tonight. On or about Monday, and we're at a point now where our tech person is speaking with your tech folks to try to make a SurveyMonkey survey operationalized as quickly as possible, hopefully by Monday. I'm hopeful maybe earlier than Monday. As soon as it's done, we will call the district and tell them that it's finished, and then once it's online, it'll be online for at least 3 solid weeks. What that survey will involve are the same 3 questions. What are the strengths? What are the areas in need of improvement? And what are the characteristics of the district? We will then tally all of that information. It's a big task. We split the task in half. Mike handles all of the forum responses, which we have a lot of, reams of paper, and then, of course, all of the survey results. And from that, and on the survey, I should also mention, there are a series of questions that are very specific about characteristics, and you can rate them on a scale of 5 being the most important to 1 being the least important. All right? So all of that information is what gets tallied, analyzed, and melded into this profile, the aforementioned profile. All right? So tonight what we'd like to do is start off by asking each of you, all of you, what do you see first in terms of the strengths of the district? After that first person answers, it'll become really much easier.
You just want people to yell out?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you can.
Probably the best strength in this district is the teachers, because they care. Because no matter what school my kids have been in, they've had great teachers. Are there bad teachers? Maybe, I don't know. But that's one of the strengths of this district.
And I thank you.
We hear that a lot, thank you. Other strengths? Don't be shy.
I would agree that our teachers are one of the biggest strengths of the district, but also our parent-teacher groups. We have an extremely involved group of parents in every school, at every level, and our parent-teacher groups do amazing work.
Got it. Other strengths?
Well, we're certainly well-resourced, but with that blessing, there's a challenge that we need someone who can manage the resources that we have efficiently and with good stewardship.
So, a little, the expression I always use,
We
put
are
a little meat on that bone
blessed.
for us in
We live
terms
in a very
of,
affluent community. We have
Right.
a lot of money that's here. That we have a big budget that needs to be managed with great care and efficiency. So, we need someone who's experienced and skilled in that.
thank you.
Speaks to public trust. Spending money wisely builds public trust.
Other strengths?
I think our strength is the community. A lot of administrators and teachers and work here and live here, and generations like who have graduated from high school here, are now teachers here, and everyone cares and wants what's best for the district. It's not, we want someone who's gonna stay and be involved in the community, not someone who's just like here for a short amount of time and moving on. I guess I would say the blood runs deep here.
Thank you. Other strengths? Yes,
Just a
sir.
quick question. It's off topic, but what other school districts is your firm working with now
Right now, we're,
in the same capacity
Little Silver right now.
right now? So the reason I ask that is the area that we live in, right? It's been mentioned, there's a strong sense of community here. So is the search that you're putting out, I've seen, the monkey survey that you said, the survey monkey and all these other type of things. Is your contract with the district a certain time frame to get this task done? Or is your firm on an hourly bill?
No, that's a great question, and it'll speak to our commitment to getting the right person. We have a one flat fee for the entire search, but we give a 2-year commitment.
Understood.
So if the board chooses a final candidate, and for whatever reason, that person leaves, doesn't get renewed, whatever, within 2 years, we'll do the search at no cost to the district. So I couldn't say it's time ended, it's certainly not hourly,
Right.
But
You got skin
it-
in the game is what I'm after.
I'm sorry?
You have skin
Skin
in the
in,
game.
we
Yeah.
got
Gotcha.
huge
Okay.
skin in the game.
So at the end of this, the search, is it a statewide search? Is it just to the educational field? There was a
Great
made
point.
about the budget, and I don't consider myself an expert in reading budgets, but when I look at Wall Township, our district budget, there's such an extravagant amount of cents per dollar spent before we even get to taking care of facilities and things along those lines. So I think it speaks to the fact that, again, we need somebody that's going to take control of the budget better, take a look at what means that we don't have, like right now, if you look at our facilities from a building standpoint, we don't have solar, we don't have things that in the year 2020 that school districts have had for over 10 or 12 years. So I think from a personal standpoint and concern, and I have the luxury of dealing with a lot of school districts in New Jersey, we need someone to really come in here and see what the root of the issue is, where we can't keep a superintendent, we have turnover with board members. So there's a definite disconnect between public and school, I don't want to say distrust, but I certainly don't have enough confidence in what I've seen in our children are older. They've gone through elementary, intermediate, and we're now in high school. And what we've seen over the years is just so much turnover. And I can't see how someone would want to be a superintendent of all district schools. I don't understand, you know, why we can't keep somebody. So the concern would be longevity. So as you're arming yourself with candidates, what is the district giving you to bring folks in? Are they offering a 2-year contract, a 3-year contract? Now, I understand some of this does have to be
I
public,
can
it's more of a
easily answer what
curiosity.
you're saying. And what it is that the Board of Ed, and you know that there's been a large turnover in a short amount of time. And we spent 3 hours with the Board of Ed on Tuesday night, and Frank and I have a great sense that these people are genuinely interested in seeing the district go in a positive direction. Longtime people that are committed to doing the right things and to build up credibility. And I think that our job is to find individuals that will embrace the challenge of what is the issues at hand. That's why we asked, what are the strengths? So I can tell you clearly, the strengths are what you're saying. It's the teachers, it's the people, it's the supportive community. It's not what you see when you Google Wall Township. It's far greater. So we're going to be able to recruit these people and let them know it's deeper beyond it, and that there is a board that is looking to do the right thing. There's a community that is demanding the right thing, and there are teachers and faculty that have gone through a lot in the past 15, 10 years, whatever, in terms of change. They want stability. They're going to support it. There's a lot here to sell, and that's why we're talking to you.
And that's why before we came, you know, we're realists, and we've been doing this a long time. We're both successful, if I may say, superintendents. We knew where the issues were here before we came. So, but we applied nonetheless, and we felt fortunate to get this assignment. And we've been saying throughout the day, so let me say it before I forget it, we're committed to getting you a very, very, very fine superintendent. Fine in all the ways that really matter. And they're out there. You talked about, you know, how big a net do you have to cast? You have to cast a pretty big net. You know, you can't have a myopic view. You need a big net, big pool to get the right person.
This gentleman and this gentleman. Go ahead.
You're first.
You're first.
Sorry. Can you, I know this is what you were talking about, can you explain a little more of your timeline and process? And 2 other questions. Will you make a recommendation for hire, and will that recommendation be available to the board and to the public?
So I'm going to say our job isn't to pick or select the next superintendent. It's not even to recommend. Our job is to make it tough for the board to make a choice, because we found 6, 8, or 10 candidates that fit the profile. And then it's up to your elected board that lives here to make the right choice based on our profile, based on the numerous interviews that have gone on, that go beyond a word interview, that's evidence-based, that is performance-based, that we can make sure, because we don't have the luxury of, the board doesn't, we as a search firm don't, we don't have the luxury of making a mistake here. This is a critical period. We have to get it right. And we're going to do our best to make sure we have a pool, a big pool of people to choose from that fits the criteria. So we want to make it hard for the Board of Ed to select. And if that happens, we've done a good job. And so we'll be advisory, and we're going to recommend. But our job is to develop the profile and then to actively recruit people to apply for the job and then go through the interview process. To the point of, is this going to be a local search? This search is going to certainly be New Jersey, but we can't dismiss advertising in a national search, because we realize too, having done other searches, people come back home. They might have went to live in Tennessee, maybe lived in Florida, but whether it's aging parents, whether it's wanting just to get back to the metropolitan area, people come back. So we do want to have a wide net.
As to the timeline, to finish your question, sir, timeline is on the website. We update it on a regular basis because, you know, those dates kind of change. And let me address one issue very forthrightly. We are really hopeful that this matter will be resolved by July 1st. Okay? However, we know as superintendents that superintendent contracts generally have a clause in it with either a 60-day notice, a 90-day notice, or a 120-day notice. So the only fair thing to do is that when you read a new timeline, it will say on or about July 1st, depending upon the most important thing, the availability of the finalist. All right? So that's that whole timeline.
And we also recommend to the board, we're not going to rush the search. We're going to be deliberate. And if we don't, and it was brought up in the administrative, what happens if you don't have 6 candidates? What happens if you have 2 or 3? We're not going to recommend to do the process. We're going to recommend to re-advertise because we need a good pool. So we're not going to rush it. And we believe in Jim Collins, good to great. You don't just fill the seat. You make sure you get the right person to fill the seat. So we're ready and prepared to make recommendations for interims. But we also are aware, having been sitting superintendents, of timelines. It's not good to start a new superintendent in October, November of the year. So ideally, if worst came to worst, we're looking at an August start date as optimal. July, of course, the best. But again, these are conversations that are governance driven.
This
Yes,
gentleman is
sir.
next.
You say you're looking in New Jersey, you may go national. What about the local area, or anyone that does work for the school system now? Is anyone eligible and has the qualifications to be superintendent at schools that would apply for the job? And
The driving answer to that one is, what does the profile look like? Because the only way to play evenly is to be sure that there's a set criteria and the people who move forward fit that criteria.
okay, well, if you want based on criteria, one superintendent's in jail for stealing from the school system, and the other one lost the trust of the people, the parent teachers organization, the children, because they were just bullheaded and they wanted things done their own way. And when people spoke at board meetings, they were ignored.
And that's why
So you need someone that's eloquent enough to have good people skills. And they also have to be able to listen and to be moldable for the good of the people, not just for what they think.
And we'll jump down a couple of lines on the page and start to list those in terms of categories. Any other strengths that somebody would like to share? Yes, ma'am.
Programs that extend the school day, the inclusivity of programs that are designed to have kids feel like they belong, both in the academic and extracurricular environment. It's so important to maintain those types of programs.
So that's a strength. you say.
Total strength, absolutely.
And to add on to that, the before and after care program that they have at the elementary schools, to maintain that as well. It's been huge in the district and for parents in the community.
Okay, let's talk about areas of growth. What areas do you believe the district needs to grow? What are the challenges the district's facing? We're talking and heard a little before about finances, being fiscally responsible. What are other things that are challenging to the district? Please.
In my opinion, I've seen a lot of emphasis on fixing things that aren't broken. You know, like, I don't know, presenting different, hiring different administrators that we really don't need. You know, I don't really know how to get it out of them. But I just feel like we have so many great programs. Why are we adding more cooks in the kitchen when the cooks we have are doing a fabulous job? You know, and I would just like to see a little bit more feedback from the teachers who are already in those positions before other people are brought in to take control.
And I can say, in fairness, across the day, we've heard that exact phrase,
Okay.
to not fix things that aren't broken.
So I wasn't battling.
No,
No,
far from that.
And to give
No.
teachers more of a voice
Yes.
into the process.
Yes.
I think the most
A little louder, if you would please,
I think
ma'am.
the most important thing for me is making sure that our schools and our ground. I don't have the trust, I feel sometimes, that when my kids go to school, that, you know, they're in a safe environment in terms of the quality of the building. As well as in the grounds. I feel like the playgrounds are very antiquated, some of them. They're not being taken care of properly, things like that.
So I think that's, you must be representing. I'm not.
A little louder,
I think
please.
one of the pluses is that we really do have a lot of facilities that are very good, but we have pockets where things are unacceptable, and I'm not even a parent there, but I I stand with the mothers who say this has to get fixed. We're far too affluent, we have too many blessings to be squandering it not to take care of the fundamentals, that children are safe, and we don't have to worry about mold or breathing issues, like these are basic things. So we need someone who can, yes, again, I go back to my first statement about managing what we have properly to take care of the most important things first.
Other areas in need of improvement? Yes, ma'am.
Just a general trust, a trust that, and the comfort level, that if the teachers do see something in their own classrooms that, as parents we don't see, that they're comfortable enough to address it. Some of them I don't think are, and they need their voices to be heard because they represent and they protect our children. And then also I would love to have that trust with the board again. I think we're heading in that direction, but it would be nice to continue.
We certainly hope so, and that's something that's going to far extend beyond our state. Yes, ma'am.
Collaborative decision-making from, especially between, from administrator to administrator, central office to building level, teachers, administrators, teachers to teachers, collaboration in general. Communication can also be added to that too.
Big issue. Again, a little help from other folks in terms of communication. We've heard that throughout the day as being in need of improvement. Yes, ma'am.
I think that a good communicator is essential at this point, and someone that is going to be able to and actually want to get out in front of issues and being transparent with the public about them, and kind of head things off before they escalate, before things explode online. Not someone who is always operating from a defensive position when things happen. Someone that actually wants to explain to people what's going on instead of thinking that they don't have to or they don't owe an explanation about things that are going on in the district. I think that's a big problem that we have had for the past several years, and I think it really needs to change with our next.
And we've also heard words to the effect of get out ahead of the problem so that you can address it before it blossoms.
And communicate rationale behind decisions. So we're really talking about characteristics you'd like to see in the next superintendent.
So why don't we transition
So
to
let's
that?
stay with that. What do you want to see in the next superintendent?
A phrase, a short sentence, a description.
An adjective.
1, 2, yes, ma'am.
So when we've heard the people who are here saying that the teachers, administrators are great, I think they're starting for inspiration.
That they are.
They're starting for inspiration. It's someone who can take them and continue to take them to another level, to continue to challenge themselves for the betterment of their students and for the people that they work with and for in the community.
We've heard a lot about the people looking for an innovator, creative thinker outside the box. We've been hearing that. It's a theme that's coming out.
Who was number 2? There was a number 2. I think it was you, sir.
I would like to see somebody with good people skills that knows how to give authority to other people. I know this past superintendent I've gone to on 4 different issues, and she says, I'll get back to you. Guess what? She never did. So she doesn't come back to a parent. Can you imagine a teacher asking for something and she doesn't like what they say? Teachers have to be afraid. Teachers have to respect the superintendent, and the superintendent has to respect the teachers. And there has to be a quid pro quo where they listen to ideas. But, a personality, good people skills, the ability to listen and to decide and to delegate authority in the proper manner. And you know what? If they delegate authority and it doesn't go the right way, Then you come and you have a discussion and you fix the problem. You don't just run over somebody.
Yeah. Mutual respect, two-way communication. What else? I'm sorry, you were right here, then over.
Yeah,
Please.
so this is the area of the agenda that I was most interested in, so I actually brought notes, so
Okay.
I'll apologize. I think they need to have good change management skills, and why I say that is because we do need to drive change. We need to rebuild trust. We need to reconnect with the community that isn't here because they're parents. You know, there's a lot of people in the community that are senior citizens, and they've been alienated, and we need to bring them back into supporting the school district. So I think, and I mean that in a technical sense, I'm sure you understand what I mean by the change management skills.
Absolutely.
A lot of the root of those is in communication skills, and I think the most important piece of that will be the listening skills. And I don't mean superficial listening skills like, you know, just don't talk over people. I mean the, you know, investigating what's been said, taking everything that's said as if it's fact, and then finding out what's right, what's wrong, what's maybe a little misinterpreted. And then I think someone over there mentioned it, the ability to sort of, if you can't tell us why you're not going to do something, then explain your rationale. You know, you're going to deposition me in negotiations if I communicate this. You know, like, say why you can't be more transparent and when you will be able to be more transparent, and then follow through on that. And those are fundamental communication and trust building skills. And I think the person needs to have a lot of experience in those areas. So
Thank you.
I
Yes,
lost
sir.
track. This gentleman right here.
Just like the previous commenter, I have a couple of comments on this topic, if that's okay.
Please.
I think that the new superintendent should have objective and transparent rules set forth and enforced for students, parents, and faculty. You know, that's an important part of leadership in a legitimate organization. The new superintendent should have a presence in all school districts and be friendly and accessible with all school staff. Being the man or the woman in the high tower just doesn't seem to work. The new superintendent should be present and accessible at school events, both during and outside of school hours. You don't have, I mean, you're allowed to have your own life, but at least, you know, some or most events should be accessible and in view. It'll help to be a good leader that way, I feel like.
And let me just say, we've been here, and have a general interest, a genuine interest in being there.
Absolutely.
That's,
Absolutely.
thank you.
In certain situations, the superintendent has to be the sole final decision maker when needed. I don't think it's, you know, you're hired to make a decision. You can't rely on polls to make the tough decisions. You can't hide behind that stuff. The next superintendent should have the courage to admit fault when wrong. All right, it's an important part of being a leader. The courage to deliver bad news personally. You know, don't hide. If they have to be fired, you should do it yourself. And the next superintendent should have the courage to get in the middle of a situation outside of ordinary circumstance. Same thing with staying in the high tower.
Explain that a little, the last one.
You know, when something bad happens or something out of the ordinary, you can't hide in your office. I don't know what this, I'm just talking about in the future for, you know, let's say there's a censorship issue or a major issue with teachers or what have you, or an accident. I mean, even you know, something terrible happens at a school, you have to be boots on the ground at that situation.
Boots on the ground comment is something, those exact same words we used in a number of different venues to describe what they're looking for. And I think it's tied, one man's opinion, and I think it's tied a lot to visibility. It's tied a lot to being there because you want to be, not because you think you have to. You know, I've heard that in many venues. If I can get this lady right here and the person next to her.
And with the visibility, if they do come out to the schools, especially the elementary schools, and let's say you're there to watch a show, then take the time after the show's over and talk to the parents. Really let us know. Did you enjoy the show? Is there anything I can change? We want that. We want somebody who's a good communicator, who's not snarky, who's not a bully. We don't want to be run over when things start to go wrong. We just want somebody to listen to us, hear us. There's a difference. You can listen to us, but you also have to hear what we're saying. And then, respond back in like a courteous, calm, and nice manner. I mean, we want respect, and that's what we say to our children. You have to be respectful. You have to listen. But it's like we're not getting that as parents, so we're all very frustrated.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a few things as well. I think one of the main things that's important to me would be, I would like to see the next person be the bridge between all the schools. And what I mean by that is, one of our favorite events is when the high schoolers go back to their elementary schools. So the crossover, when the 5th graders go visit the middle school, or the 8th graders go, we're a community. I would love to see someone that keeps us together and has the schools and teachers working together. So someone that really knows our school well and our community, and then someone that also just has a good understanding of our community.
I'm sorry, finish that, please.
Someone that has a good understanding of our community. We have very passionate parents and dedicated teachers. And someone that knows that it's all driven by positivity, but it's, they can handle that and use that.
I like the expression bridge, because very often schools can operate as isolates, and it's
We've
no
heard-
way to reach capacity.
We've heard a lot of this today, and I think it's parallel, but not totally. And that is, we're looking to unite the district into one district, not different kingdoms. But you're going into, bringing more community, supporting communities within and among the district, and creating a district spirit and pride. Good points, thank you.
One, yes.
You say you make the recommendations, you give them to the board picks out the superintendent. And then if it doesn't work out, you're obligated to try again?
Yes.
Who makes the decision that the superintendent isn't working out?
Only the board.
The school board? What happens if all the parents don't like the superintendent,
Well,
but the
you're-
school
you're-
board
you're-
wants to
you're-
keep him?
You're
It's
asking.
just like, let me please, it's the democratic process of the United States. You have a system in place. You are voters. You're taxpayers and you're voters. You vote your Board of Education in. That's your recourse. But your Board of Education, I have to say, I believe you have a board that listens and wants to listen to the community. And we are here hired by the board to listen and act as their agents. And I will say, I believe there are 3 board members, if not more, that are here in the audience. And they're here as parents and community members, not as board. So I think you have people that care. And so I believe that the process is, voice your opinions of dissatisfaction. Talk to the board members, email them, come to meetings. Yeah, sure,
I go and check one more thing.
please.
I was at one meeting, most of the parents were against what the board was gonna do. After they heard everybody, the board took 15 seconds, 30 seconds, they voted against what everyone said. So I went up to one board member after it, and I said, with so many people here saying, don't do this, why didn't you just table it and have a discussion or whatever? You know what he told me? The people can come to the meetings. The people can talk at the meetings, but only the board makes the decisions. And I said, is this a country for the people, by the people, and with the people? Or are you just power hungry? Because you need to have to listen. And even if you're on the board and you don't agree with the people's decision, if majority goes against what you say, then you have to be able to be listening.
Yeah, and again, if you're not happy, you vote people out, you have a nice group of people in the room, unify together, and support candidates that have the vision and view that you share, that's putting kids first and doing the right things. And that's part of the democratic process, being involved and be the change you want to see, you know, and then become a board member. And I think that that's what has happened, what we're seeing as search consultants in our experience with your current board. We're hopeful. Yes.
I think when we think about the next superintendent, there has been a lot of board turnover. You know, I would say people I thought were great people, very experienced professionals, you know, who have gotten on the board and then resigned. And I don't know what the specific issues were, but it clearly says to me that we need like to this point about leadership, we need a leader. We need a strong leader who can take people who have volunteered their time, who are putting so much time and effort into our kids, who have been elected to those positions, walking away. I assume they're frustrated. I assume it's, I don't know. Is it toxic? Is it, I don't know. But something's not going on there, and I think solid leadership could probably help so that the board can function, and maybe there needs to be more forums to hear people, to this gentleman's point, and get that input and balance it, because, you know, I can also see, and I don't know the specific issue, I wasn't at that meeting, but, you know, maybe there's other points of view that weren't vocalized at that meeting. I'm sure it's a really tough job. You know, once upon a time, I looked at those people and thought, oh, no, maybe I'll do that someday. And then I saw what they go through, and I'm like, hell no. Like, God bless you, whoever you are in here that's doing it. Seriously, God bless you, because you are serving all of us. But this next person really needs to be a leader to take those good intended people and get them moving in the right direction.
And it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. As superintendents, you never lose sight of the fact that your bosses are the board. The board is your boss. And yet, the board has to have a very special relationship with the superintendent. When it works, it really is magnificent. And we've both been blessed. I mean, truly blessed in terms of our jobs and the people that we had as board members. Some of whom, and I'm retired 9 years, are still very close personal friends. They weren't beforehand, but they became over time. And when that happens, it's great for everybody. Most importantly, it's great for the kids.
And to that point, and I don't want to take away from your time, but to that point, every relationship needs to be worked out. Whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's parent and child, every relationship needs to work. And that's no different with the Board of Ed and superintendent. So that speaks to the characteristics we look for. Yes.
In going along the same lines of relationships, the next superintendent has to be someone who also is willing to build relationships with the other Monmouth County superintendents and advocate at both the county and the state level for funding, for what's right for the kids, for teachers, for those types of things. So it has to be someone who will represent the district and the town well in other political forums, because the superintendent position in some way, shape, and form is a very political position in terms of advocacy and relationships outside of the district. And those relationships are essential in making meaningful professional connections with other professionals in a collaborative way to move the district forward.
The side has been a little quiet. Anything over here?
Yes, sir.
Just a few more to add. Going along the lines of not fixing what's not broken, I definitely second that. You know, one example would be that I'm not sure why, but the vacation schedule was changed a few years ago.
That's another one that we've heard.
Yeah, I really don't.
In stereo.
I saw no reason
stereo.
to do that. Another characteristic that I think that the next superintendent should have is a certain level of common sense. I don't know if this is the board's decision or the superintendent's decision, but a couple of years ago, there was a snow day makeup for the last Friday of Easter break. from a practical standpoint and a moral standpoint, morale standpoint, I thought that was a terrible decision. And then the next superintendent should have tact. If you're going to send out an email to remind parents of the restrictions on giving teachers gifts, I think it would be better to do that in the beginning of the year. I don't think it's good for morale or team building or leadership to send an email out like that a couple days before Christmas. That's all.
And that was another one that we also.
Right, okay.
Just to add on to what he said, that's February break. That was one person's decision. It was the superintendent's. I went to speak to her personally in her office. And what she said to me was, the more your kids are in school, the more they learn and educate, and she was like trying to ram it down their throats. And I said, listen, February is the cheapest time for families to go away, and most schools have a February break, so you can build memories with your kids. Because if you try to go into summer or Easter or Christmas, it's too expensive. And if every other school has a February break, why does Wall Township have to be different? If you know what I'm saying. And it was just her idea, and she just ran it down our throats.
You have a phrase that should be on Hallmark cards, creating memories with each other. That's powerful.
That's what family vacation is about.
That's right. Other input, characteristics you like to see? Please.
Can I do a characteristic we don't want to see?
Why not? Do whatever you want. We want to hear.
Last year was a rough year for the district. And through that whole process at the end of the year, instead of trying to resolve issues that affected both the teachers and administrators, we had a superintendent that had people write letters in support of her. And since her direction is the wrong direction for Wall, I don't believe any superintendent that supported that superintendent and wrote a letter should be considered part of the process, because that's just a slap in the face for everybody that had a problem.
Another item that, as my colleague said, you've heard in stereo today.
And we will be assured, as we will share all of this.
So blacklist them.
On TV.
Yes, yes.
Maybe too, when they do see, when the superintendent does look around and she does see that morale's down with the teachers and the parents, to think to herself, I'm going to make a change. So the next person, they can look within themselves and think, if so many people are upset, this is not a couple, a handful. If so many people are upset in all the different schools, what am I doing wrong? So you need to you need to look within yourself. And that's what we need. We need somebody who can actually look within themselves, who has a good track record with wherever they're coming from. Maybe that the other school system is like, oh my gosh, please don't leave. This person was amazing. That's what we need. We need somebody that's amazing for the teachers, for the parents. Because you saw that teachers would come here and they'd be crying how their jobs are affected, and it was just like not a care in the world. And that spoke volumes to us, the parents.
I think something that's also important is someone that is, ethical goes beyond the say, what should go without having to be said, but also unbiased, where everyone, teacher, staff member, student, family, is treated fairly and given a fair consideration for any, not dismissed in a sense, but there's consideration and everyone's voice is valued and everyone's position is valued equally.
And we had 1 year of that in the last 20.
Do you want to go further?
His name's Dan Sutton.
So he was superintendent for 1 year and felt that he exemplified a lot of characteristics that we're looking for. And I see a couple of head nods. Okay. Couple smiles. Big smile. Other characteristics. Some people haven't talked at all. Please, here's your time. You know, you do have a survey, you can add whatever you want, but now's your time. You know, it is valuable, very valuable input, and you'll see your voice represented in our notes.
I think you want someone who has a wide array of experiences, we've already talked about that. But you want someone who's going to have experiences, not just in Wall, but in other districts as well. And you want someone who's going to have experience in a central office, and is going to be able to approach the situation with a new, open mind, that's going to be able to problem solve.
I have a question about your survey. So in SurveyMonkey, you can make it so it's anonymous or not anonymous. Whatever you do, I just recommend that you do some sort of filtering so that you cannot have it pumped up.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 decision. Let me explain to you what the options would be. SurveyMonkey says to all of their participants that if you want to put a governor on this where a person can only put in one response, then it would exclude everyone that responds as an employee of the district. Most people, employees respond because it is thoroughly appropriate. It is not an impropriety at all. They respond at work. That would not be possible if you have an IP address type thing. So instead, what we have always recommended, and what we recommended to this board, is it is far better, we think, to lift any cloak of you know, Big Brother watching people by just making it open for everyone to use whatever device they want to use. Is it possible for 2 people, 3 people, I don't know how many people to do it multiple times? It may be. But I think you're a big enough district where that type of thing statistically is not going to make a difference in terms of the responses. The ancillary would be then to tell every employee, well, don't use your device in school, you have to use your device at home. I think that will raise another whole issue of suspicion as to why that's the case. Do they want my individual email? It's a hard balance on that. And I think when all is said and done, our experience in terms of other districts, we have not seen it. We have seen nothing that would indicate that that would be. No, I don't believe that. But that's the fairest answer I think you can give.
Well, I appreciate the answer.
And what's
I don't agree with it, but I
yeah, and what
I
I'm
mean,
going-
everybody has one of these, like,
Right.
everybody can use one of these. I mean, you don't have to share the emails, you can keep those emails.
Right.
You don't have to give them to the board.
Right, and what I will say about this is, in the board, we're going to have a transparent process. Everything we do, the timelines will be on the website. The meetings that we have will be posted, whether they're open or sometimes they would have to be closed, like an interview. Because one thing is important, keep the confidentiality of the candidates confidential until they're finalists. When they're finalists, their names could be out there. But if we want to get people involved, if they're just applying and it's public, a lot of people be very reluctant because they don't want to tell their current employer that they're looking until they're a finalist. So it's going to be a confidential process, but the board is committed to a transparent process, and the board is committed to getting input and feedback from the community. Therefore, we will have the survey out there. It is Frank and I that will be disaggregating the data, but all data will be given to the board because, again, we're not choosing or picking anything, we're sharing. But we will have a process where Frank will quantitatively deal with the survey and results. I will go through a qualitative process using an ethnographic approach, creating themes from all of the content. It's very labor intense. I usually hire a couple of doctoral students that I work with in Seton Hall to assist. And, you know, we get a great reliable results that I'll cross-reference without seeing ahead of time with Frank's results to get a good feel. So we're confident in what we're doing with the profile. That's one of the things we do extremely well. And that PowerPoint will be put on the website. You'll all get to see it. Again, we do this. This is something we enjoy doing. The most important thing that the Board of Ed can do is hire the superintendent and evaluate the superintendent. That's a big part of the responsibility. And I'll also say, understand that these are volunteers. It's community service. I want to thank the board members for volunteering. It's a tough job that they do, that's community service. And I would be the first one to tell you if people were frauds. I'm getting a great feel and sense that Frank and I are very optimistic of getting great candidates because we know that this will be a great opportunity for the right person and the right fit. And we've met with the teachers union. We've met with teachers of every level, elementary, middle, and high. We've met with the kids. There's a great sense. People are starving for direction, for leadership, for consistency, for dignity, for respect, in the sense of the future looking. And again, no disrespect to whatever's in the rearview mirror. There's no need to look back. They only look forward. And there's great, I believe, opportunity for this district.
The other thing I would add is, for all of the concerns, as varied as they might be, we need to hire, we don't do the hiring, the district needs to hire one superintendent that is going to advocate for every child in every subset of kids. They need to advocate for the children with severe disabilities. They need to advocate for those that are gifted and talented, those that are musicians, those that are actors and actresses, and the list goes on and on. We need to hire one person. That's why this is as hard as it is, that is going to do all of that. That's why we spend the amount of time we spend speaking with them, to try to get as much information as we can, to counter the black eye. We have to have all that good information to counter the black eye. And we always enter into these situations very optimistic, that we will. And maybe in closing, we'll just assure you that we will do everything humanly possible for the kids, the teachers, the parents, the administrators, and the community in general. The superintendent has to remember that a fair portion of this community, they don't have any children. And you can't forget those people either. And I know very often people say, people my age, I describe myself as a card-carrying senior citizen, right? That people my age always vote no. If people my age in good numbers always voted no, you probably would never pass a vote. It just doesn't happen, you know? Maybe a disproportionate number might vote no, but large numbers vote yes. So you have to remember about those people also. We're hiring one person to do all of that. We're going to do our very best to bring in a slate, we're not picking, bring in a slate that will generate one person every day.
Can I mention?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, I got here late, I was at a band booster meeting. I just wanted to go over a couple things. I couldn't hear anything because nobody can hear anything that's watching it at home. And you can't even, I couldn't even see the video. So, it's
You
kind
couldn't
of
see it either.
no, but I don't know, you can't see it. So, I don't know, some people are at home saying they can't see the video and they can't hear anything. So, I mean, I brought this up today saying, you know, make sure you have a microphone so people can hear. I mean, pass around a microphone, have your video working, because I'm not getting a good feeling already. If we can't get this right, how can we be sure we're gonna get the right superintendent in here? This is our third time. I was here for the first 2 times around. And I'm wondering, did you see the list? You know, we've gone through the same process twice now with 2 other firms. Do you have the list that they had for the qualities we were looking for in a superintendent? Because it's probably very similar to what we're looking for now. I would like to see anyone that's applying a business plan for the next year. That's what I want to see. Because I know we have some internal people, we're going to have some external people. What is your vision for the next year for this district? Because there is a lot of work to do. I don't have a lot of faith in the board. I don't. I have faith in less than 5 people. So they need to get this right. What are they going to do about finance and facilities? The board right now won't only let PTO moms in for facilities. What is the district going to do? Because your 2% cap every year goes to salaries, pensions, and benefits. And every year you just cut from the kids. So we need that looked at. When we get a new super, we need a new auditor, a new attorney, a new architect, and a new business administrator. We need new everything. I think even the person should ask for an investigation for so many items. I've gotten back a lot of information. There are so many problems in this town right now with anything that you look at. The new super should say, come on in and go through everything, because the board has spent 5 months. They still have not even gotten an investigator in for the trailers. It's 5 months today. How could they hire a superintendent? They can't even make a decision on getting somebody. So they're too slow in making decisions. I can't believe how slow everybody is. And the new super, I'd like a minimum. The minimum is 3 years. I want a minimum. And I'd like to see their merit bonuses, because the merit bonuses that the board approved made no sense, and they were hidden from the public until they vote on them. And it just doesn't make any sense. So you keep saying they're going to be transparent, and we keep saying they don't want to be transparent, the board. So you're talking about a different board that I'm familiar with, because I've been coming here for 10 years now, and nothing has changed. So I hope you get this right. And I hope you get in people from the outside as well. We have, I'm sure, people applying on the inside. Let's also look on people on the outside that have experience, that have the qualifications, that have been a super, that have a business background, because the money is not going for the kids. And what would they do? The district wants a $120 million referendum. What would they do? Would they look to push through the $120 million referendum? Would they look for half? What would they look to do? Like all these things in the next year, we need the super to come in and running, because this super, I don't know where she is. Nobody sees her. I don't even know why she's here anymore. And I would like a survey to go out to the parents every quarter. How is the super doing? Because we can't get the super in here, and then they just do whatever they want. The board just check it off, pay it. The prior super was going to have coffee hours and meetings. She got in the door, she canceled the coffee hours, and doesn't meet with parents. We cannot have that happen again. Those were just a couple of things I jotted down earlier. One thing I did read, I wrote this years ago. I'm very concerned about the merit goals approved for the superintendent of schools for $24,000. They were all written how the prior James Hable's merit bonuses were written. There's nothing that you really have to do. You just write them, you look like you tried, check the box, pay it. We cannot have that going forward. And, I mean, the merit goals that the board approved for Cheryl Dyer were ridiculous. And I had it typed up, and I probably read it 4 years ago. Same thing for Brian Smythe. His merit goals were ridiculous.
What about positives in the district? What
We have a great music program. The people are undervalued.
else?
We have great sports programs, but a lot of money is spent on sports and not in the arts. I mean, I had to fight to get some money for my son in a program and 17 other students for a program that, when I looked back in the minutes, they paid for 34 students back in 2008. And then, since Ms. Dyer's been here, they were paying 0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments? Well, Frank and I, we want to thank you for coming out. Want to remind you, on or about Monday, survey will be, encourage your friends, your family, community members to take part in it. And keep looking out on the timelines, other events that are open for input. And again, thank you for your time. And we
Thank you.